Good afternoon, America. Good afternoon, citizens. Today is the September the 12th, 2025, and time now is 13:33 or 1:33 in the afternoon, and it's Friday. I want to talk a little bit about something that I have been researching and studying from some excerpts from a good friend of mine who is a deep archaeologist, and he's found some evidence of previous civilization uh, lifestyles and religious and cultural activities areas that we have not yet explored and that are basically being exposed and discovered. So he sent me a complete manual, written manual on some of his findings, and I'm gonna read this out to many of you so you may understand what is happening to our culture and to our society in general. And I'm going to be very specific. We are being infiltrated, or have been infiltrated by what you call EBEs, or I would just say aliens. I have mentioned this before, that these beings are able to morph or basically mimic human beings in their physical structure, and I will explain further on this. I want to be able to make you understand that what we are enduring in our civilization and our society in America is a composure of that operation, and the beings that are doing this are well known among the those who are theorists and who like to discover strange secrets. I'm going to be very specific in the way I speak, so that many of you understand and not go off the wall as many have done. I don't want to impose any untruths. I am a man of truth, and I like the truth. You know, the society itself, this society of how would you say it, EBEs, or people know them as the Reptilians. They have a tendency of infiltrating a civilization prior to its total takeover and annihilation. It's either annihilated, or they are interweave with them and how would you say, infiltrate their social structure and the things that they do to divide a society or civilization. And it's all about division. You have nothing else but division, because united we stand, divided we fall, as the old saying goes, the old cliche. So united we stand, divided we fall. And these entities, they want to divide humanity so that we can be at each other's throats while they are watching on the sidelines, we destroying ourselves. They don't have to come in and do anything. So among us, there are individuals who are basically chameleons. I call them chameleons because they change their people call them shapeshifters. I call them the reptilians, alpha reptilians, draconians. To those who do not understand, and I'm not being off the wall here. I'm not a wacko bringing this information to you. I want you to understand this. I have been doing research, heavily research on the the entities that are occupying our world so far. And there are about 100 types of species on this planet. Many of the species that we have on this planet are basically hybrids. We are finding that there are hybrids being exposed almost every day. You have certain hybrids that are more hostile than others. But I want you to understand where I'm coming from here. In the same way that you can interbreed a dog and or a cat or a let's say a zebra and a donkey or jackass and a zebra, you can do this with humanoids by way of the DNA samples or cloning. But I'm going to continue with this story, which has been handed down by a friend of mine who is afraid to expose it because he's afraid of dying. And I honestly tell you, and I've told him many times, I said, listen, I'm a terminally ill man, so I don't give a rip's ass. So basically, it just advances the stage I'm in. So let me continue with this exposure of the reptilians on this planet. And we have them, believe it or not. And they are causing division. We can see it in our administration, in our current administration, in our current government. And we see it. The way people are reacting to what is being done and said and being manipulated into. Let me finish by this few excerpts I'm going to containing this message that has been given me, where humans fight back. Understand what I'm saying? As the Federation expected, the old hatreds persisted, percolating up from the Atlantean DNA. Now we have specific evidence that Atlantis was is really Antarctica. You see, when the Earth shifts on a cycle basis, Earth cycle basis. Atlantis was, how would you say, further to the south, and out to the east, I believe, in the area where the Atlantic Ocean is. So when we find Antarctica, it's basically had been shifted in a Earth cycle. So it became, how would you say, ice capped, and the civilization of Atlantis is underneath the ice cap. Now let me finish here. From the Atlantean DNA, perhaps reinforced by stories passed on from generation to generation about the desecrations in Lyra. I explained about Lyra. Lyra was a planet which harbored about 13, 14 colonies, Oliverians. They were humanoids, the human race. But they were taller beings than what we are now. You notice that throughout the ages, our ancestors were a slight bit taller human beings. But the Lyrians were a farm farming and agricultural society, a culture. They had 13 colonies, 14 uh, planets, which were colonized by Illyrian human beings until they were, how would you say, it, invaded and basically um, fooled into serving the Draconians who came in on a starship and introduced to them technology for their resources. Eventually, they came out to basically just take over all their resources and the basic minerals and gold that they had, and all of their resources. Even used the very human beings as food because they were flesh eaters. And let me continue here. So the desecration of in Lyra, and so what happened was that the reptilian or draconian species overpowered the 13 or 14 colonies that were of the Lyrian society, and most of those Lyrians had to, how would you say, exodus out of the AO, out of the area of operation, which was their solar system of Lyra. And Pleiades played into this. They were trying to help the Lyrians, who were basically humanoids, and they hated or they despised the reptilians for what they did and how they came about doing it. There were another alien society which were called the Wolfens. Now these beings would come into a invaded and conquered society or population after the defeats. They would consume the very bodies of the conquered peoples. That's why they call them Wolfens or wolf men. Now the reptilians allied themselves with these Wolfens, and they became good allies. And so they started conquering the best part of the Andromedan and Milky Way area. How do I know this? I'm reading it out of my friend's manuscript, and basically he's on the data with this information, because I have noticed some very distinct patterns in our current society as far as our humanoid leaders, supposed humanoid leaders. I hope that many of you understand what I'm saying to you. Anyways, let me continue here. Possibly even more than the Maldakians. The Atlans also detested, as I said, they detested the reptilians. This new planet was too small for these arch enemies. In other words, what I'm saying is that Earth was being occupied by both the Atlanteans and the reptilians, and they considered each other mortal enemies. And I'm going to basically explain in this way, which I am describing, that the overall destruction of Lemuria, which was a continent on the Pacific coast, Pacific Ocean area, while the Atlanteans were in the Atlantic Ocean area. So what occurred was that the Atlanteans decided that they wanted to destroy all of the Lemurian structures, the Lemurian continent, which were basically inhabited by the reptilians. So they used a what do you call it, a full impulse, what do you call it, one of those electromagnetic um, impulse beams or, or weapons, and destroyed the continent by electromagnetic impulses. So they destroyed the island, and it sunk. It sunk in the Pacific. Most of the continent is now in our, how would you say, western coast, California. And it's part of this continent, and you can see some of the earthquake patterns in the Pacific Ocean. If you're a deep sea diver, you will see structures underneath the oceans. That was part of the Lemurian civilization, as you will see some in the Atlantic Ocean, and some of the structures underground or under sea. You will see patterns of pyramids and so forth, which were part of the Atlantean civilization, which are now in Antarctica because of the Earth's shift. Let me continue. The Atlanteans also detested the Reptilians. The new planet was too small for these arch enemies, and wars broke out. The Atlanteans were a fierce human race, and the battles were many. The dinosaurs were a major source of contention. These huge beasts rampaged over Atlantean agricultural areas, devouring the crops. Finally, the Atlanteans began killing them. Swallow says the Atlanteans despised these destructive animals, so they used electromagnetic pulse weapons. That is what I'm talking about. Electromagnetic pulse weapons, which we are using today, believe it or not. Now you know where we got some of our weapons from. Those were probably discovered in Antarctica. I would not doubt it at all. Or traded for our trade factor in the by the hidden, how would you say, the intelligence agencies that we have. The Atlanteans despised these destructive animals, or we're talking about the prehistoric animals that were at the time, as they used electromagnetic pulse weapons to kill them. This is the real truth of why dinosaurs, mammoths, and other prehistoric creatures abruptly became extinct. The Maldikians attacked the reptilian lunar colonies. So you had lunar colonies on the moon, and they were reptilian race, of the reptilian species. The underground Martians also entered the fray in the effort to remove the reptilians from the solar system. They too began attacking the reptilians on the moon to destroy the lunar outposts guarding their Earth settlements. In the Code to the Matrix, James Evans Bomar says this might be considered the real First World War of the worlds. It was a mess. But it really was not a mess at all. Upon reviewing the entire situation, now in retrospect, it becomes abundantly clear that the Federation was orchestrating the whole campaign. The reptilians on Earth were now in a distinct disadvantage. They found themselves in a very precarious predicament. The conflict they had initiated by attacking Maldikians and Maldek and Mars had now resulted in their isolation in a distant solar system. Maldek was a planet next to Mars. Maldek is now what we call the asteroid belt, part of the asteroid belt, which was destroyed by an ice comet. The scrape on the side of Mars is as a result of the scraping of that ice comet on Mars, which destroyed its electromagnetic field or atmosphere. Now you can check this out. I mean, if you're a avid scientist or science professor or a scientist in fact, you can check this out yourself and know the theories are true. I do not lie. I do not like lying, and I do not like liars. And this world has been infiltrated. I call it infiltration. I don't think it's called infiltration. I call it deception, misinformation to the human species, among all things, in religion and in culture. A society which has been duped into believing what others have thought to be true because they want to control the planet. They want to control the world. And so they create venues of control to destroy the life and quality of life of human beings on this planet. And I'm being very specifically honest. There are individuals who are so dysfunctional as human beings that they will make everybody else miserable because of the actions that they do. Now I'm an older man. I'm an elderly man, but I've got all my cabales. So I want you to understand that we are unto you. We know who you are, and that those reptilian minions that you have, I call them minions because that's what they are, minions. People call them demons. I don't call them demons, I call them creatures. And that's what they are, creatures. They're basically reptilians. And you follow our civilization, every civilization on this planet has something to do with snakes or reptiles. And understand where those legends came from. It came from truth. It's written on their cave walls. And people have left messages on those cave walls indicating that reptilians once roamed this world as a society, and they have, how would you say it, hard feelings against humans, in the same way that the Atlanteans had hard feelings against reptilians. It was a hate against hate thing. You're basically dealing with off-the-world forces, dark forces, who are on this planet, and they want this. They want the total takeover of the world. We humans are nothing to them, but how would you say, a snack in the night. That's all basically it is. Despite the fact that many of you are so enthused in trying to get these individuals or these creatures into your society as part of your, how would you say, masters. The other thing that is very unaware for the normal human being on this planet is that they use telepathy, telepathic influences. And how do they do this? Very simply, they can sit back on a chair and basically probe your thoughts and mind and influence you as you speak. I have watched this. I have watched this on many occasions when a speaker comes on to speak a word to the public. If someone sits in the back and they're basically moving their lips but nothing coming out because they're telepathically suggesting a speaker to say what he needs to say. So they're being influenced and manipulated. That is the word I'm trying to say. I'll tell the truth. I do not tell a lie, like I said. But many of you have watched this, and I also watched this with the AI, artificial intelligence gimmicks and technology that we have now, where they replace a human being's image with the AI manipulation. It's very easy to manipulate the masses by some AI speaking for the subject who is presented. I would say if I was sitting here as the president of the United States, that some AI would be taking over my image to speak the nonsense that he would be speaking. So that you may understand, you the citizens need to wake up. You need to wake up to the fact that we are not the same democracy and nation that we were 100 years ago, and not even less than that. Our world has been infiltrated, and basically what you are seeing right now is a consequence of what is going on in the world. You see riots in France, you see riots in Nepal. Why is that so? And then we see it here in the United States, where we have a young man, 31 years old, being killed over beliefs. Who wants to change the beliefs? I'm not adding to, subtracting to the case in question of Charlie Kirk. But recently they found out it was a young man named Robinson, last name Robinson, who was a Mormon and white. Not necessarily black American. He was a white man, killed another white man. So basically what you're talking about here are beliefs, divisions, causing divisions among the humanity. And then you have other people who are interlopers or trying to manipulate the masses by telling them, oh yeah, it was a transgender and he was Latino. And right away they put a tag on the Latino who shot Charlie Kirk, which is untruth. The fault I put on the FBI, who had three times, because there was 3 times they screwed up. 3 times they screwed up and almost got a man in jail or prison for something he didn't do. That is basically the truth. And then he comes out and said, oh, we did a great job. A great job. You're lying. You were lying, and you lied to the American people. And that's what happens with people that are dysfunctional, and you put them in charge of a functioning agency. And there are many like that in our government. I want to point this out because this will lead to a dangerous situation. We will get into a very dangerous situation. It's amazing that this happened on 9/11. It's amazing that Charlie Kirk was killed on 9/11. And then they had a school shooting at the same time. And they want to ban guns now, ban rifles, and do whatever they want to do. So what do you leave? Where do you leave the American people and the American citizen without any defense course? Well, they're going to take out a baseball bat and try to defend themselves against somebody toting a shotgun or a rifle or a gun? Does that sound common sense to you? Reasonable? It doesn't. Let me continue with this talk. I want to continue, and I'm going to end it very shortly. By the way, did you know we have a federation of galaxies, or federation of planets in our solar system? And we also have the Space Force. Wasn't that initiated by Donald J. Trump himself? Space Force. What's that sound to you? Okay. They know what's going on, but they don't want to tell the public because the public doesn't need to know. Because they may fear. You see, these creatures, the reptilians, they thrive and they hunger for fear. Fear is what human beings indulge in when they see or hear of something extraordinary or something horrific coming on. They right away they fear. There's fear, and they soak it up. Listen to what I'm saying to you. I'm trying to save humanity's life. We are in dire straits in our nation, in our world, and we are being fed. We are being fed with bullshit. Being fed with bullshit by leaders that we trust. Supposedly we trust. It turns out that this individual, this guy who killed Charlie Kirk, was also a MAGA member. Was also a member of MAGA. His father was an ardent, supposed he was a sheriff's deputy, a law enforcement, and he was a Christian as well. Now I'm Christian myself, but I condone the violence that people are doing. I condone it because there's better ways to help each other as a society. The question is, when will this all stop? When will the United States president stop being the child that he is and grow up and be the man? Well, he can't be the man he is at 78 years old. He'll be 83 by the time he leaves office. If he leaves office, he may be carried out. Who knows? Whatever happens, happens. There's a reason for it. There's a destiny for it. But do not blame a transgender individual or a Latino because you hate Latinos or you hate transgenders. That's illogical. Blame the environment. Blame the environment that you create in a society. The same thing with racism. You won't have racism if you stop talking about it. You will not have prejudices against other cultures if you stop talking about it. I guarantee you it will stop. Stop talking about, stop inciting it. And division, stop inciting division when unity is a factor. Unity is the most important thing for creating a civilization. Rome was not built on division. It was built on unity. Two brothers got together, joining hand in hand to create this civilization in Rome. Two brothers. So that you may understand history. Anyways, I will continue this some other time. But I wanted to tell you this, that, humans need to understand that the Draco reptilians were bullies. They were basically bullies. Just like the man we have in the White House now. Bullies. Not that I'm saying I'm not insulting him, but that's the truth. Draco reptilians were bullies because they invaded helpless agriculturists and colonists who were trying to live a good quality of life. And so came the animosity between the Atlanteans, or the, how would you say them? They call them the Pleiadians, Lyrans, against the reptilian Draco, Alpha Draco, or Draconians. So you might understand what I'm trying to say. There had to be two factors, two arch enemies against each other. And that is what is happening today. Don't you think that they are watching us? And I'm not talking about the draconian reptilians. They're already on Earth. The dark force. The Pleiadians or the Lyrians or the other humans, they call them others, are watching our civilization. See what we do. See what we do with nuclear weapons. Anytime you set off a bomb in Hiroshima, they're asking what is going on in the surface. Many of you who are studying these ancient researches understand what I'm saying. I'm not voicing my theories on empty words and empty air. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm talking about. But I hope you wake up. It's time. We have a short time on this planet. If everything does not go well with our leadership and our world beliefs. So I'm hoping that many of you understand what I'm saying. And to the American people, families, protect the innocent. Keep a close watch on your children. See what they do every day. Check their bedrooms, see what they do in the computers and so forth. That has a lot to do with what's going on in the violence. Be well. God bless all of you.